Argentina Comic Con, atravesando la alfombra roja, llega Nathalie Emmanuel. Thank you so much. And welcome to the country.
Oh, thank you.
How your stay in Buenos Aires?
Oh, it's been great. Had a lovely time.
It's your first time in your country?
First time in Argentina. Thank you for giving me a reason to come here. Just to hang out with everyone. Thank you.
How do you feel with the passion of the fans of Game of Thrones?
Oh, just fills me with so much joy, and thank you. Great, I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. We speak about your career, your beginning in your career. What made you decide to become an actress?
I became an actress because it was really fun. That's genuinely why I started acting. Actually, my mum kind of put me into dance and singing because I was really shy. And I only wanted to be with her. Dropping me off at school was like a nightmare because I would just cry for my mum all the time. So doing dance and performing arts sort of gave me confidence.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember your first audition? Was difficult, your first auditions for movies?
My very first audition?
Your very first?
Oh, I was little then. Yeah, I think I just thought they were, when I was small, I just thought they were fun. I didn't think of it as a test or something serious. But when I got older, yeah, I remember feeling quite nervous in auditions.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Obviously, the first question is, how did you get the character? How did you get Missandei?
How did I get her?
Yeah, how did you get?
You mean I went for an audition?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I actually have been a huge fan of Game of Thrones from the beginning, and I may or may not have harassed my agent, is there a part in Game of Thrones? Is there a part in Game of Thrones? She was like, what's Game of Thrones? What are you talking about? And then I saw a breakdown from Missandei, and it said playing age 18 to 25, non-white actress. I was like, that's me. I'm great at those things. And I phoned my agent in London, and she said, I've already seen it, and you've got an audition next week. And then I went for the audition, and I was put on tape, and they send those tapes off to America, and then I didn't hear anything for 5 weeks. So I just assumed I hadn't got it. And then, I was coming home one day, and I got a phone call to say that I had got the part, and I cried a lot and screamed.
And what was your first reaction when you read about your character, about the story?
Well, I had watched the first season, and then I'd started reading the books. So I hadn't quite met Missandei in the books, but I basically just started reading faster. Yeah. And I got to book 3 where she first appears, and I just thought that she was a really interesting character. I mean, she's small, she's quite a small character in the books, and also she's 9 years old. She's like a child.
Yeah, it's a child.
I definitely wasn't a child.
No.
So, yeah, so I had to try and adapt her to be played by a grown woman and take elements of her personality that I could feel from the books. And she just seemed like a really, kind of quiet, gentle soul. So I decided I could bring that to her in how I played her on the show. And I made certain choices about her physicality, how she walked, how she stood, very contained. as a result of being an enslaved person, you know, she carried herself a certain way to make sure she didn't make a mistake or step a foot out of line, because that could be life or death for someone who's a slave. So that was very much worked into how I decided to play her. And when I started reading the scripts, I was like, this is going to be cool, because I'm hanging out with my gal pal, Daenerys Targaryen, who's another badass, and so I was like, this is going to be really fun.
Your character is a translator. It was difficult to speak the many languages of the series.
She speaks 19 languages, and I think she's learnt another one. I think she's at 20 now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what they are, but yeah. So I've had to speak a number of versions or dialects of Valyrian. So when you hear me announce Daenerys, when I say something like Daenerys Jarmasmo Ionaija Demas and Lentro Targaryen, Zio Prosio Elos, Dorzati Marino Daria. Just that little old thing. That is High Valyrian. So that's basically like speaking Latin. Yeah. And then I've had to translate, like the Valyrian that like I speak with Grey Worm. I'm sorry I don't have an example for you, but that's a low Valyrian. That's sort of like a more colloquial version of High Valyrian. And then I've had to speak a couple of words here and there of Dothraki or Giscari. And then there's been another type of low Valyrian as well that was so obscure that Daenerys couldn't understand it. So it's all different sounds. When you're learning it, it's like different parts of your mouth are working, like your teeth, your back of the throat, like, and it changes depending on what type of Valyrian you're learning. So yeah, it's complicated stuff.
Amazing. And how was working with Emilia?
Oh, I love that girl. I love working with Emilia. She is wonderful. She is such a sweet girl. She's so very, very talented. And we just have so much love and respect and support each other. And I couldn't have asked for a better colleague and a friend. So I feel very blessed that this show brought me to, Emilia as well. She's fantastic.
This question is difficult for me, but what can you say about the relationship of Missandei and Grey Worm?
What can I say about Grey Worm and Missandei? I have thoroughly enjoyed playing that storyline with Jacob. We have seen these two characters who are so bound and so restricted and so just in their trauma, of slavery. They have had to grow and become human beings, or see themselves as human beings and find their voice, find their humanity, because it's been suppressed, it's been oppressed out of them, So I have thoroughly enjoyed seeing their romance and their love and their intimacy grow over the seasons, because I think that's been a huge part in them finding out who they are and finding their authentic selves, and it's been really beautiful. It's such a pure, innocent romance that just, I think because they came from the same place, they came from similar trauma, they were ripped from their families, abused, mutilated in Grey Worm's case, and they've got this common place between them, and it's just been such a beautiful thing. And then now, obviously, we've seen the you know, the moment. And even in that scene, they just were so gentle and kind and like trusting of each other, and it was such a lovely scene to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Jacob and I were like totally weirded out. We were like having to get naked together because we're like friends. We're like, that's my bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a conversation about that. But you know what?
You're very close?
He's like, we've just been through a lot together on the show, and I feel that he's my confidant and I'm his, and you know, we've grown to be good friends, and I think I felt incredibly supported by him, and I hope that I supported him too. And our director was fantastic, and we had loads of rehearsals, so we knew when we went onto set that day that exactly what we were going to do. So we knew step by step what was going to happen, so nothing was a surprise, and we knew what the setups would be, where the cameras would be. So all we had to do was do it, and that I was really grateful for, because it just took a lot of the anxiety away, and it just allowed us to be present and in the scene together. And I was incredibly proud of it. I mean, Grey Worm, as a character who has suffered incredible pain and abuse and mutilation, he allows this woman that he loves to see him. And there's like real, it's really beautiful to me, because it's so vulnerable. You know, we're all vulnerable in you know, with the person that we love, but their situation is so unique, and I think from Missandei's point of view, it didn't matter. She loved him anyway. Before we even got to this point, she loved him. She knew that she loved him, and she was, just by him showing himself to her, I think that meant so much to her, because she loved him and wanted him to trust her. And yeah.
For you, for Nathalie, what is your favorite house of Game of Thrones universe?
My favorite house?
Yeah, the Lannister, the Stark.
What kind of question is that? Of course it's Targaryen. I'm loyal.
For me, Sunday. But for Nathalie?
Targaryen, come on. There's dragons. Dragons. I have to be loyal to my team.
so about the dragons, how is working with the CGI creatures, the dragons?
Well, when I first started the show, they were still very small, so we had like models that were very realistic. They were painted and like looked very real. But then over the course of the seasons, they just got too big to have like a model, like a physical model. And there was often just a guy with a stick and a green ball on the end, sort of swinging it around, and that would be our eye line. Right, and then eventually they got too big for that. Eventually it was just like, look in that general area, because they're flying over there, and they'd be so big that we would all just sort of do this, or, you know, something like that.
You need a lot of imagination.
Yes, you do. And that's part of the fun of being an actor. It's so funny when I think about like my job. You know, when you're a kid and you like play make-believe with your friends, and you come up with whole stories, and then now like someone wants me to do that for a job, and that's really cool. I'm like, wow, does anyone know that this is happening? Am I allowed to be here doing this? It's really fun.
All right. This is the last question. How important was Game of Thrones in your life, in your career? What changed in your life and your career?
Oh, everything changed. It was definitely a turning point for me, personally and professionally. At the time when I got that job, I'd been working on a number of like TV shows in the UK, but I'd been unemployed for a really long time. And I had been working in retail in a clothes shop, like every day from like 7 a.m. probably till like 8 p.m. or something. It was awful. It was awful because sorry, like I said this last night, but the people that I worked for were not, it wasn't good. But anyway, I mean, they could have been nicer, that's what I'm going to say. Some of the jobs that they had us do were not ideal, but the people were nice, but sometimes the job wasn't. And I guess I'd kind of lost confidence a little bit in my ability as an actor, and I just thought maybe this isn't going to happen for me. And I was thinking about going back to school, and so when this job came in, it was a confirmation that this is what I wanted to do. This is like, somebody wanted me to do it. It gave me something to work towards. It just gave me that fire in my belly that I'd lost. And I was really excited. I was really excited to get started. I had about 5 months after I got the phone call to say that I had the part until I started filming, and it felt like an eternity. All I wanted to do was just go and film and be a part of this show that I love so much. And yeah, so it was a turning point for me. It meant that I got into rooms with producers and casting directors that I probably wouldn't have got into otherwise, because everybody loved the show so much. Mm-hmm. It was such a great show to be a part of. The credibility of the show meant that people were like, oh, I just want to meet you. Like, not necessarily because there was like a job or a film or a TV show that they wanted me to audition for. It was just like, just want to meet you and say hi and have a chat. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And it sort of led me to then be involved in the franchise movies that we've seen clips from today. And I'm just, it changed everything, and I guess that I'm eternally grateful. Even if it all ended tomorrow and everything stopped and I never acted again, the last 6 years of my life have been so unbelievably like special and amazing and exciting because of Game of Thrones. And so I'm like, yeah, there are no, I said a lot of words, but there are no words to quite describe what this show has done for my life. Thank you.
You're very nice, very sweet, very nice. Congratulations, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, and I just have to say, Argentina Comic Con, thank you for the really warm welcome. Thank you for being fans of the show and the other jobs that I've been lucky enough to do, and we do it for you guys. You guys make it possible. We go to work every day for you, so thank you so much.
Y este aplauso para Nathalie Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Nathalie. Thank you.